do. I'll
Okay.
If any of you guys can hear me, to broadcast, I have to disconnect. So I can't hear you. So whoever's calling the meeting to order, just put your hand up and give me 10 seconds, okay? Because I hear it delayed down here in the basement, or give me 5 seconds just so I can broadcast, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you. Normally I can hear Dave upstairs, so I know when we're going, but tonight I can't, so.
I'm back now. I got my ears.
Hello, my friend.
Hi.
I like your pretty top.
It's wild.
Yeah, but good. Great news about Larry.
Sure is.
Oh, I haven't done that thing yet either, Pat. My day has been nuts.
Me too. Rennie's. Everyone's Christmas shopping at Rennie's.
Oh yeah, I know. That makes me nervous. Big crowds. Are they limiting the people now?
Not yet. I don't think we've
Yeah.
had 50 at once yet.
I don't either.
Hi, Patty. Did you get your minutes or your notes?
Hi, John. I did. Thank you very much.
Good.
Good man.
Hi, John.
Good morning, Ruth. Late morning.
Okay.
Thanks for your note. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mark, is Derek coming on?
Yes, he should be. I'll go double check.
Calling in from Florida, Dave?
That's the best picture I had. I'm in Monson. It's a very rustic bunk room, so I don't think people want to look at that.
You must be in South Monson.
On the shores of Lake Hebron.
The kids hunting with you?
Nope. This is finally my time.
Okay.
They're home. I'll get them. I'm taking off next Wednesday before the holiday, so we'll go the last few days there.
Sure.
All right. It is 6:30 p.m.
I'm switching over as we speak.
I call this Thompson Board of Selectmen meeting to order on November 19th, 2020. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, I got distracted looking at Matt's daughter. So we're coming out of executive session. Before we start tonight, we have two motions. Roland, would you go ahead and do those?
Sure. To authorize the treasurer to convey the mobile home located at 6 Andrea Street by quitclaim bill of sale to Lisa Lavasser for the sum of $270.22.
I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing nothing. All those in favor, 1, 2, 3. Unanimous. Patty, for the rest of the night on, well, there's only one more. I'm going to have you call this because I've got to scroll through multiple screens to find everyone. We can go ahead with the second one, Roland.
Sure. To extend the time for the Topsom Housing Authority to close on the tax acquired property at 55 Monroe Lane, tax map R05A-002-55, and 88 Monroe Lane, tax map R05A-002-88, to November 30th, 2020.
I'll second that. Patty, would you call a vote on that, please? You're on mute, Patty.
Gotta put this down, I can't talk. Roland, are you in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Okay, Matt Nixon,
Favor.
Ruth Lyons,
In favor?
Marie Brilliant, David Douglas.
In favor.
Is Marie absent?
I haven't seen her.
Okay, so we have 4 in, 1, 2, 3, 4 in favor, and Marie didn't vote.
Thank you, Patty. So we will actually now move on to roll call. That's you once again, Patty, doing the same thing you just did.
All right, David Douglas,
Here.
Marie Brilliant, Ruth Lyons,
Here?
Matt Nixon,
Here.
Roland Tufts.
Here.
All here except for Marie Brilliant.
Thank you, Patty. Town managers report.
Hey, good evening. I'd like to report that we have 2 new members of our team. Kathy Ricker, our new finance director, arrived this week. And last week, our new assistant tax clerk position was filled by Charlotte Nutt. So if you happen to be around town hall for any business, please stop by and welcome them to the team. Ed Karen, our solid waste director, informed me that fish were delivered by the state to Big Eddie at the solid waste facility last Thursday. 525 9-inch and 75 13-inch trout were delivered, and I understand many of the kids are having fun catching them. And the last thing is the Swinging Bridge is scheduled for structural improvements. It started this week and it's scheduled through December 15th. The bridge will be closed and access will not be permitted during this time. So thank you, and have a happy Thanksgiving week next week.
Thank you. Any questions of the manager? Not seeing anything. Boards and committees, we have John Shattuck, Economic and Community Development Director.
Good evening. Just a few things on tonight's report, and because I think you have a much more interesting report coming to follow me. Wicked Joe, the town's CDBG Economic Development Program grant, is now entering its active phase of administration and allocation. This $500,000 grant is also enabling the beginning of Wicked Joe's very substantial construction and expansion, which will include the hiring of 17 full-time equivalent positions. So a great addition to our job community and our one of our leading corporate citizens in town. Topsom Development met yesterday and acted on the selectmen's request for input on the TDI planning board perception of a conflict issue there, or structural conflict. The board has acted on that, responded to the specific questions that you asked, and have a recommendation. They will submit that report in time for it to be able for consideration at your meeting on December 17th. I understand the third is already quite full. So, in Topsom Commerce Park, we've been contacted by the principals at Helios Group, who are the owners of all the former military housing out there and the property under the since demolished Liberty Circle housing. They've asked to resume discussions with the town regarding the repair of water and sewer infrastructure out there and their plans to redevelop Liberty Circle. And indeed, tomorrow, together with the manager and the assistant manager, we'll be meeting with those folks. And finally, following me in a moment, Matt Abbott, the chair of the Government Review Committee, will present the GRC's report to the selectmen. as a committee report. So if you have input and seeking any changes, we have an opportunity to do that before final vote. But I'd like to take the opportunity to thank very much the committee for their extensive and very thoughtful efforts. It's an exceptional group of Topsom volunteers who I think have represented the town very well. And I'd just like to acknowledge them here. Matthew Abbott, our chairman, Pamela Heil, Ruth Lyons, James Merzak, and Susan Ray Reeves. Commend them for a really excellent job and effort and a lot of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Any questions of John? Seeing nothing. Thank you, John. Next up, Government Review Committee update from the chairman, Matt Abbott. Go ahead, Matt. You're on mute, Matt.
How about now? Is that all right?
Yep, all good.
Okay, I'll just hold the space bar. I forgot about that. So I was saying it's nice to see some of you again, and some of you I'm meeting for the first time. I think I interviewed before Matt was on the select board. But as John was saying, I personally would like to thank our committee as well. It was a team effort. I thought we had a variety of people on the committee that ranged from younger family to maybe a little bit more experienced in life. Also with some very novice people, myself, with local government, to some very experienced people with local government. So the different opinions and perspectives really added to our analysis. So yeah, I just wanted to thank them for that. So the goal with this report is really just to inform you guys what process we went through when we sat down and met as a government review committee, how we reviewed things, how we decided what we were going to review, and then our overall recommendation. I think we went through great lengths to make sure our overall recommendation was unbiased, I guess you could say. We're not trying to push for one thing or another. We're not trying to do anything like that. We're just trying to present information so that you as the select board can decide what the best step forward is. So assuming that you guys had the opportunity to read it, I'll just cover a couple of the highlights, such as I'll just scroll down through. So our objectives were obviously, like I said, to analyze the existing form of government, analyze other forms of government available through the state, or that the rest of the towns in the state do, make a recommendation of whether to do a charter commission or not, and then make sure we articulated these clearly to the committee, the select board. So with our review process, we sat down like any committee does, and we set our ground rules. We did all how we were going to make a decision, which was by consensus. We talked about our mission statement and what we all thought the goal of the committee was, and we came to an agreement on that. The big things really were to look at what Topsom has currently set up, and then what other communities have in the state. So we did that through various ways. We read chapter 6 and 7 of the Topsom Code from top to bottom. We used the Maine Municipal Association website. We used some published books by a Vermont author that studied forms of government called All Those in Favor. We got input from the Topsom department heads as to how the form of government impacted the way they were able to run their departments. We reviewed prior government review committees, government improvement committees, and charter commission products, as well as spoke with individuals that were involved in those committees. And then finally, we reached out to other communities that we thought compared similarly to Topsom and talked about the differences and the strengths and weaknesses that they had experienced and why maybe they changed from one thing to another and what was their perspective. So, and through all this research, things that seemed to come up as heavy topics were recalls, budgets, grants, and ordinances, all those affected by how the government's set up to run, as you guys are well aware. So with that in mind, one final thing that I really think was the key here was we got a legal opinion from the Maine Municipal Association about what could and could not be done in the current form of government as well as other forms of government. And the legal opinion, I think, really established to us that if Topsom wants to take control of its own future, that maybe it should look at a few things, such as how decision making is done in the town, how the select board is set up, whether size, districts, whatever, those types of things. Excuse me, recalls, like we talked about. Let's say I'm on the select board and I do something that the citizens don't like. Currently, there's no way for them to do anything about it, really, except for to vote me out at the next election. And so that was something that came up. Grants also came up. John had some good input on that about how grants are impacted by the current form of government. And then finally, the ordinances. Should we give the select board more authority or less? And we thought that it was worth taking a look at what we could do as a town with a charter commission or without, and nobody's saying you have to go one way or another. I think the main municipal association said you could set up a charter that looks just exactly the way it is right now, but then that'll be up to the charter commission if you guys recommend it. Our recommendation is that you do establish a charter commission to do further research and come up with their recommendations and delve further into this topic.
Thank you, Matt. One of the things, I just have a question, and there'll probably be others as we go around. I think you had sent the survey to 8 different communities, and I know in your report, I think it was only 3. Did the others just not respond, or was it not useful information?
They did not respond. With everything going on this summer, what happened, we established ourselves about a year ago. And then with COVID hitting, we had to move to this Zoom style meeting that you're doing right now. And as you know, local governments were very strained with their resources, with their time. I don't know if helping Topsom establish that, you know, answering a survey was at the top of their list, but the people we did hear from, I thought were pretty relevant to Topsom.
Right. And I'm going to open it in just a second. I got one last question right off for you, Matt. You know, the discussion about grants is kind of interesting because I can say I've been on this board and I don't believe there's a grant we've missed out on because of our form of government. So to hear the feedback that we're disadvantaging ourselves is interesting, and I guess even to me disappointing, because I don't believe we've missed out on anything. Anything that's come forward that people recognized, it was brought to the board. So that's a comment from my perspective. Does anyone have any questions of Matt?
So the communities you received feedback on, had any of them switched one form of government to the other, say in the last 5 years, and did they offer any perspective?
So in the attachment that John had sent out for this meeting, the exact questions and answers are provided for you towards the bottom. We asked pretty much when they had last changed and when it was established. And I'm looking at Lisbon was 2008. They established a charter. Yarmouth, 1965. So that was quite a long time ago, obviously. And then there was one more.
Cumberland. I think it was Cumberland, and I thought they were, the most recent was Lisbon, right? In that 2008.
I think Lisbon was, and we found Lisbon to be the most interesting, obviously, because they're direct neighbors. And they have a lot of similarities, I feel like, when it comes to the amount of people and the types of people that occupy.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Anyone else have further questions of Matt? So just to the board's perspective, Matt's given us an update here. Anything we can provide for feedback before I believe you want feedback before you do your final draft. And once we receive the final draft, we'll put it on as a motion item. It would be my intention. As far as what I saw from your stuff, Matt, I can't think of anything else you guys missed out on. I think you've got a good it's the formulation of making that decision whether you want to do a charter or not. So let me ask this, just because I think I know the answer. If we decide to go forward with a charter commission, but with the directive not to change the form of government, but to add some of those other ideas in there that you guys had done, that's something that could possibly be done also, though, right? We don't have to change the form of government to do some
Correct.
of those things.
Yeah, the legal opinions that we received back, those are also attached in tonight's agenda. Pretty much established that if we just wanted to go out and create a charter to establish Topsom as its own independent government agency that doesn't rely on the state statute that handles these types of governments, then we could go ahead and do that.
Excellent, thank you. I want to scan my screens here. One last second, anyone? Go ahead, Matt.
I just want,
Oh, sorry, Ruth, I wasn't at that screen. So I'll go Matt, then Ruth.
go Matt, yeah.
Matt, thanks very much. And I was just curious, given the fact that I wasn't here when you were first appointed, the charge that you guys were given in doing this report, was there any, I guess, focus away from just the select board while you were looking at like ways in which you could revise Topsom government, or was it primarily just, I mean, from what you've listed and primarily from what I've seen in scanning your report, it's just really critiques about the select board. I mean, are there other things that came up that you'd like to talk about, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't classify these as critiques. Our perspective.
Oh, certainly not. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not critiques, just recommendations. I mean, more of a focus, I guess, on things for us to consider in the future. How about that?
Correct. Yeah. So we did notice some smaller things, but the overarching discussion through the group, and we all had very different perspectives, and I think we still have different perspectives on the future. But the overarching thought was, we really need to take a crunch and look at this. We could go line by line, and we could update the fact that you guys are called select board to something else. We could go down and we could change how every word is done here or there and just make it look more 2020. But we thought that there was enough underlying issues that before we poked at those little things, that we should evaluate everything and see if we can come up with something that fits the town at this time.
Basically, it was really a pleasure to serve with this board. There was this committee, there was a lot of ability. There was a lot of real caring and how it came out. And I would say our focus, Matt, was to look at everything. Is our form of government working? And I think the biggest concern was how many people attended the meeting. That was a big concern. Did everybody get informed that there was a meeting? And things like that. That seemed, from the group of us, that seemed the biggest concern of a lot of the committee members. That's the way I saw it. And could we do better? Is the government working the way it is? Or do we need to look at some other things? And that it was a great committee.
Thank you, Ruth. I've got a notice here, Pam Heil. If we could bring her up, she raised her hands to speak. Pam was a part of this group.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I too, it was a wonderful committee to work with and a very, very thoughtful group. Just a couple of things I would note. The Charter Commission is going to do what the Charter Commission will do. You may suggest that they not recommend a change in the form of government, but you can't direct them not to recommend that. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. But yes, they could recommend, come back with a recommendation that it not be changed. And just for you, Mr. Mixon, Selectman Mixon, I would note that Chapter 6 was our charge, and that specifically deals with the form of government. That's why the focus was on the select board and how things work. Lastly, I just want to thank John Shattuck for all of his help with this. He was a great help pulling us together and keeping us organized and tracking down information. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Pam. I'm going to check the group here one last second before. Anyone else have anything further?
No.
No. So I think, Matt, you can take, probably most of your group is watched or is watching. You can take back tonight, finalize your report, and it'll come to us and we'll put it right to an agenda item with what your recommendation will be, and we'll act on it from there. So thank you very much. Sounds like you guys have rave reviews for your committee. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. All right, we'll get to work. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Matt. So next up, we have correspondence. Did anybody receive anything that they would like to review?
The Thompson Trail Riders letter.
Oh, yes. You know what, Matt? I do not have it in front of me. Do you have it in front of you?
I may.
And if I recall, I mean, it was probably came in a week ago, and I'll try to. They normally have a annual meal, a banquet, I believe. Obviously, they're not doing that this year. I think they were thanking the town for the work with, if I recall correctly, for working with them closely and such.
I do have
Thompson
a
Trail
copy of it in
Riders.
front of me if you'd like me to read it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Dated October 21st, 2020. Dear valued landowner. Okay. On behalf of the Thompson Trail Riders ATV and Snowmobile Club, I would like to begin by thanking you for allowing access to your land for both the club and the public to use for our trail system. Typically at this time, we are preparing for our annual Landowner Appreciation Supper as a small token of our gratitude for the use of your land. But with the current pandemic, we have opted to postpone the supper to early 2021. We will reach out to you once again when we feel we can safely facilitate the meal. We are including a refrigerator magnet with our contact information on it. If you have any problems, please contact me or any of the people listed on it. We thank you for your patience and look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, Dan Parlin, President, Thompson Trail Riders.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that. I forgot all about the refrigerator magnet. Forgot that. So also, this is the part of the night where everyone is virtual tonight. No one is at town hall. If you have any questions or comments, I'm checking the chat. Nope, we're all good there. People could call in to 373-5090. If they have any public comment they want to make, it'll be different tonight. The town manager will read a summary of what you call with, because it's not able to put you live to it. So if there's anyone watching, 373-5090. And while we wait for that for a few moments, we'll move to the next item at least, which is approval of the consent calendar from November 5th, 2020.
Second.
We got a motion and
Oh, I
seconded.
move it. I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's all right. I was going to change my words. So we've got to move. And do we have a second? We got a second. And Patty, could you just go around the room?
I can if you tell me who seconded it. I missed it.
Matt did.
Matt, thank you, Matt. Okay. David Douglas, for or against the minutes?
For the minutes.
And Ruth Lyons,
With minutes.
Nat Nixon,
Approve.
and Roland Test.
In favor.
Unanimous of those in attendance.
Thank you, Patty. And I am not seeing anything that anybody's calling in. So with the agenda that had no actually actionable items and nobody calling in, it is the most anticipated time of night. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Plenty of seconds on that one, Patty. So all those in favor, and I'll look at the hands. 2, 3. We're unanimous. Look at that. Excellent, folks. Hey, everyone, enjoy Thanksgiving, hopefully with your families. Be safe, and we'll see you again in December, I guess.